it going, my peeps, and welcome back to the channel of the apparent pyromaniac who couldn't help himself but to make a few politically charged comments in last week's video, knowing some of you will get your undergarments in a twist and set the whole comment section off into a blaze. And on this week's episode of Bigot Deterrent, we are diving into the wonderful world that is French onion soup recipes. Now don't get me wrong, I have always loved French onion soup. I could eat it any time of the day, any time of the year. But recently, I have had an extra obsession for some reason, and when I found myself ordering it for the third time in a week, the other day, I figured what better time to make a video on it and see what other iterations the internet has to offer. As a result, today we will be testing out Binging with Babish's classic French onion soup, as well as the genius French onion burger from Food Network, hopping over to the Cafe Delights channel to test out their French onion stuffed chicken breasts. And then to round everything off, we're gonna be revisiting Mythical Chef Josh's French onion soup ramen. As always, if you could take a second to like this video, it helps immensely and I will love you forever. But let's get right into this one. It goes without saying that a video dedicated to my love and the variations of French onion soup has to start with a good classic version. So Babish, please do not let us down. You will need some olive oil and dry sherry, some fish sauce and soy sauce, flour, a Parmesan cheese rind and whole cloves, some beef broth and salt, fresh garlic and black pepper, some bay leaves, Gruyere cheese, fresh chives, a whole bunch of yellow Spanish onions, a baguette or any crusty bread, and some fresh thyme, whole black peppercorns, fresh parsley, and some carrots. If you couldn't guess, this recipe is gonna start with what seems like an absurd amount of onions, but I promise you it will not be. These things contain so much water that we're hopefully going to extract from them, and by the time we get them down to their final golden caramelized form, you should end up with 1/10 of the volume that you started with. This does take a little bit of back and forth timing because obviously you want to get your onions started, they take quite a bit of time, but you want to get your broth started as well so that stock has time to infuse with all the flavors and additives you're throwing in there. And at the end, these two components will come together to hopefully create a very tasty and delicious French onion soup base. In the meantime, let's just have a little chat and catch up a bit. I feel like it's been a while. I hope you're all doing extremely well, or as well as you can, with the current state of the world at the moment. I gotta say, the amount of recent comments and DMs over on Instagram that I've got from so many of you have just, touched my heart. It sounds corny, but it's true. Whenever you guys tell me I make your days a little bit better or get your mind off some bullshit, it just makes my whole week and, instantly motivates me to start working on the next few videos. So thank you all so much for that, and even if you don't comment and you're just kind of a standard viewer, I appreciate you so much as well. Also, I don't know if I'm allowed to be sharing this, and I might be shooting myself in the foot by doing so, but recently I got email from a very large network asking me to be on a pretty big TV show with a chef that I may or may not have tested recipes from multiple times on this channel, and my initial instinct was to not answer because my introverted anxiety is just not about that life. I just couldn't see myself being thrown into a situation like that and being good, but a lot of you guys have kind of talked me into it on Twitter. The jury's still out though. I think about it every day and I'm kind of still on the fence, so I'll keep you updated with where that goes, if anywhere. Anyways, I got the soup finished up with some soy sauce and the tiniest drip of my dreaded fish sauce from a few months ago. I got the baguette chopped up and toasted off in the oven with a little bit of salt, pepper, and olive oil. And then all you gotta do is grate up your cheese, chop up your chives, combine all four of your components in your ramekin, or whatever oven-safe vessel that you prefer, and wow. I don't know what it is about this food exactly, but it delivers on every single level, especially the smell and the eye test, so let's give it a taste. Absolutely, positively, yes. Ow. I feel like the mouth burn is kind of inevitable with this one. This is delicious. There's just nothing to not like about this food. Look at the crusty cheese around the outside. The broth is super flavorful. I love that the croutons maintained a little bit of crunch. They didn't get completely sogged out. If I had to make the most nitpick critique, I would say it's a little heavy on the sherry flavor. I did think I was adding a lot compared to the amount of stock that we used. But if I got this at my local diner or restaurant, I would be thrilled. I'd inhale the entire thing without thinking. Absolutely great start to this video. I'm in my happy place. Next up today, we are jumping over to a company that you would think would have a bigger presence on this channel. And it is, of course, Food Network and their French onion cheeseburger. I grabbed some balsamic vinegar and olive oil, some beef broth and baby arugula, some ground chuck and onion soup mix, as well as some hamburger buns, Gruyere cheese, Vidalia onions, and salt and pepper. So while a French onion burger is not a unique concept, I've had it in a number of restaurants over the years, and I knew I wanted to include it in this video. For full transparency, this Food Network version was not even close to my top choice. There was a recipe on the Campbell's website whose photos honestly looked quite a bit better, but it ended up being just a promotion for their canned French onion soup. And then my second and more logical option was Nick DiGiovanni's version, or should I say Joshua Weissman Jr., with how extra that video is. On certain days and times, for certain videos, I don't mind grinding my own meat and making my own hamburger buns, but not in the mood today. Once in a while, I like to keep these videos containing strictly things that you guys might actually consider making for yourselves. So my third choice was this Food Network recipe, more specifically from Katie Lee Beigel, and honestly, her burger at the end does not look the best. The burger patty looks a little bit gray and quite dry. There could be a whole lot more cheese on there. There's no other condiments to help out the moisture situation. Like, I feel like she might have taken a few shortcuts with this one. Or I'm just jumping the gun and this is gonna be intensely flavorful on its own, and I'm being way too critical way ahead of time, so let me rein it in for now. I got the burger seasoned with the grated onion and powdered soup mix. I got it cooked off in my cast iron and some cheese melted on. I was just about to start building this when I realized her buns looked like they were toasted on the grill, so out to the grill we went, even though it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. And finally, only now is when we can assemble this beast. This one doesn't look too bad. The burger looks juicy and very appetizing. Looks like something you'd get from a local bar or pub, so let's give it a shot. I don't often go for pub-style burgers like this one. You guys know I would rather have a smash burger any day, but the cheese and the burger itself looks bomb. Those caramelized onions look amazing. Okay, so that initial hit of the super salty, sweet, and vinegary onions is incredible. But after that, it's a little bit of a letdown, I won't lie to you. The burger patty itself is very bland. It's very underseasoned. It's kind of screaming for some salt. That onion soup mix alone I don't think is enough. And then I'm really finding myself wanting some kind of burger sauce. Some kind of garlic aioli would be really nice, or really anything mayo based. I don't think that'd be breaking any rules or make this not a French onion burger. I mean, there's arugula on there, for God's sake. And the arugula and the bun is fine. It doesn't add or detract anything for me. With a few minor tweaks, this could be really good. I feel like this has a whole bunch of potential, but as it stands right now, a little bit disappointed. Third on the agenda today is this French onion stuffed chicken from the Cafe Delights channel. I grabbed some white wine and garlic powder, chicken breasts and beef broth, salt and pepper, some yellow onions, mozzarella and Parmesan cheeses, as well as fresh garlic, butter, and fresh thyme. I was absolutely thrilled when I saw one of you guys send this recipe to me, because I was already trying to plan this video and look for French onion variations, so it kind of works perfect. But mainly because, for whatever reason, this just reminds me of those classic tasty recipes that is something super simple but still unique. Maybe you've never seen it before, and it can be cooked in less than an hour. All of which cannot be said for probably the majority of the recipes that we create on the channel these days. Once again, you've got to chop up and caramelize your onions, this time with a little bit of salt, pepper, fresh thyme, and broth as needed. I especially love the additions of the white wine and the garlic at the very end. That should be a very nice flavor boost. And then for the chicken, you want to make sure the exteriors are pat dry so you can get a nice sear. Seasoned very thoroughly with your salt, pepper, garlic powder, and thyme. And then absolutely stuffed to the brim with as much onions and shredded up mozzarella and Parmesan as you can possibly fit in there. Is this a dish that you would find in any restaurant or really anywhere outside of the internet? Probably not. This kind of just feels like a random creation that an American mom would throw together for a dinner in the 50s. But there are quite a few really good techniques that are used throughout this that give me some high hopes for this one. For one, like I said, deglazing the onions with the white wine is very smart and should be very tasty. Getting a sear on the chicken before it goes in the oven is also very smart, and you're cooking in the pan that you just cooked the onions, so it should pick up a bunch of that fond. They get finished cooking over a bed of the rest of your onions, some more of that stock to help it not dry out. And they didn't include the oven temperature or time for this one, so I just kind of guessed and roasted these off at 400 degrees for about 25 to 30 minutes. Or of course, until the internal temperature is about 160 if you have a thermometer at your disposal. By the end of this video, my clothing and my hair and all the furniture in my house is probably gonna have an onion smell so deeply permeated that it'll linger for months. But I don't care, as long as all of these continue being delicious, so let's give this one a shot. There's just no possible way this could be bad, right? We're all in agreement? It's literally just onions, melty mozzarella, hopefully well-cooked chicken, like, there's no way. Maybe there should be something that's served in restaurants, because it is damn tasty. I love every single component. I love the abundance of thyme. I think that's one of my favorite herbs. It just adds so much fragrance and enticingness, if that's a word. I will say, if it was in a restaurant, I would recommend pounding 2 little chicken breasts very thin and then stacking the layers, or pounding it thin and then rolling it up like a chicken cordon bleu. The stuffing is a little bit gimmicky and not a whole lot stays in there during the baking process. Most of it just oozes out anyway. But overall, very good, very tasty, and gets my stamp of approval for you guys to replicate it. And finally today, we are gonna revisit a classic on the channel. It's Mythical Chef Josh and his French onion soup ramen. All you need is some brandy and water, a white onion, and a pack of instant ramen, your favorite block of cheese, salt and pepper, and some butter, and that's it. Now, before anybody out there, or even myself, starts critiquing this thing, especially for its simplicity, I feel it's only fair to acknowledge that this was a beer virus episode where Josh was trying to create new dishes with very simple stuff that anybody would have in their kitchen. It was right at the peak of all the craziness when people thought we'd run out of food and, for some odd reason, toilet paper. So it was very hard to fill out your usual shopping list, and I feel like that is worth being mentioned. Even so, this recipe is no slouch. We're going to caramelize these onions so dark and deglaze them with brandy to add such deep and complex flavors. Consider lighting the fumes on fire just for fun before wussing out and putting away your blowtorch. And then just finish your soup base with some water and salt and pepper, and that's it. The ramen seasoning packet and the onions and brandy are gonna do all the heavy lifting here, and from the last time I made this, the result is definitely greater than the sum of its parts. Like, you would be pleasantly surprised if you made this. The noodles also get cooked right down in the same pot. They're gonna suck up all the flavor from that broth. After all, these noodles are thirstier than Bon Appetit is for views right now. And then to finish this one off, we're gonna dump in our concoction into what is possibly an oven-safe bowl. I don't know, we'll find out. Grate a whole bunch of your preferred cheese over the top, however much your heart desires, and then give this a broil until everything is melty and toasty and looking freaking delicious. I am absolutely and utterly stuffed to the gills with fried onions and cheese at the moment, but I don't care. French onion soup ramen, I am thrilled to be seeing you again. This has 2 things that are on my Mount Rushmore of kitchen smells, that being toasted cheddar cheese as well as caramelized onions. So I am very, very happy to be here with you all, and especially this right now. Oh man. This is even better than I remember it. The broth is so damn flavorful for how little is in there. Maybe I got more caramelization on the onions, so that could have helped. The brandy is a really nice addition and very clever to kind of compensate for the lack of other things going on in the broth. This took the shortest amount of time with the most shortcuts. It's not very close to French onion soup in terms of ingredients, but goddamn is this good. This might be my favorite of the whole day. Absolutely positively make this. It is delicious. It is so comforting. And yeah, I'm gonna need to turn this off so I can house the rest of this. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, slap a like on this. Follow me over on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already and you want to see more of my unstable antics. Have a wonderful weekend to each and every one of you out there, and I will see you right back here next time. Peace!
With the M without the AD. Flipping burgers and my money super lazy. Try and make a meal tonight, they ain't paying me. Try and supersize my life with my 18. Yeah, our style wasn't wavy, but we had a vision.
We should do an opening where I pretend to be you.
Huh?
And I waited for you.
Oh my
wear your
gosh.
glasses, and I do your mannerisms. I say,
What's my mannerisms?
how do you start? You do some. I don't
Let's
know,
see it.
I think you come. What up, peeps? So.
Not so easy, is it, bitch? I think it'd be funny if I just kept this at the very end of this next video.
What?
The last 30 seconds
Of what?
of us bantering.
When?
The last previous 30 seconds that
You've
we
been
just
video-
experienced.
You videotaping. I can actually see the.
See the red dot?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, now I see it. Oh, damn.